Hi, Joe Cerrone. Welcome to CAD 230 in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Alrighty, so as we work on closing out the class and finishing things up, next week we will start the final exam. I have enabled the final practice exam. It's located under quizzes and exams. And it's under practice test final exam. And so here's our final practice exam, multiple choice. And as we go through and we work on that, it's just going to be the multiple choice exam. If we go back to the main splash page, and if we take a look at that, we can go to the content section. And in the practice exam, it's taken from a chapter within the textbook. And the chapter from the textbook is chapter 21. And it might be 22 in the latest version. But if we download that and we take a look at that, it's basically a practice exam for the CSWA, Certified SolidWorks Associate Exam. And the first part of the test is just questions about drawing parts and assemblies. And so they'll ask you questions like, which command was used to create the drawing view of B at the lower right-hand corner? Which command was used to create this B view? And as we go through and we take a look at the exam questions, there will be those 5 questions on exams, and then there will be 4 parts to model. And the parts that we'll model, I took the CSWA exam, were very similar in nature to this. And so when we look at this first part, they'll actually go through and show you how to create that part, create the model for it. And then just like in the midterm exam, we'll apply a material to that, and then we'll calculate out the mass properties for that. And so we'll have this fitting, we'll have this wagon wheel. Same thing, you'll apply a material and then analyze the mass properties for it. Then there'll be a widget. Apply the material, calculate out the mass properties, and a second widget. And so if we take a look at the parts in SolidWorks, if we take a look at some of these parts, this would be the first one. Start off with this shape right here. Add the different cuts and features to that. Assign the material to that. And then calculate out the mass properties. If we look at some of the other ones, it's the wagon wheel. Basically create a sketch. And then we'll revolve that sketch. And again, calculate out the mass properties. There will be 2 assembly drawings. One of them is this one right here. and you can download the parts from the D2L. It looks like I've got to do that, and so if I go to D2L, these would be the CSWA practice parts for part 1 and then part 2. You'll download these components, and then you'll go through the textbook for how to assemble them. And so here's how that would work. It's a bottom-up assembly. You'll create the first part as fixed. Insert the wheels, connecting rods, and housing. And then once you have those things set up, what it will ask you is an analysis question. Once you have these parts put together, it'll ask you for a distance measurement between the piston and the piston rod to calculate out that. And so it'll ask you to measure out this distance to see if you've created the assembly correctly. And then the second one is the same similar format. These are harder than the assemblies that you'll find on my final exam. My final exam will be similar to the midterm exam, where we'll have parts that we will create, a good 4 parts that we'll create, and then 1 assembly drawing. And so the practice will really kind of over-prepare you for it. You don't have to do the practice exam. It doesn't count as any points. But if you do the practice exam, it will help your score out. And so I do recommend that you take the multiple choice questions in quizzes and exams for the practice exam, and then model the parts. And then next week, I'll release the final exam, and we'll use Honor Lock for that. So the final exam will be released next week. I'll probably release it on the 1st, and then you'll have until the 10th to complete that exam. Alrighty, with that, I'm going to go back to the main splash page. If you need any assistance or any help with any of the models, send me an email, and I can set up a Zoom time to help you with any of the questions that you may have. In the meantime, everybody's just been doing really a good job working independently on these projects, turning in the assignments. And so hopefully you'll take the intermediate course in the fall. The summer we're running the basic SolidWorks class, and we're running Revit MEP along with AutoCAD. So that ends the Zoom meeting for today. I'm going to stop the recording and post it.